All right, dude. There's no escaping now. You made it.
I made it finally.
How are you, Jacqui?
I'm doing very well. Thank
Yeah?
you. Thank you. I'm honored that you chose me to come here.
Oh, man. I feel like the universe
I was like,
chose you.
what the heck? All right. So, what are we going to talk about? And,
I think we have
we usually
plenty
flow. So.
to talk about.
Yes.
Well, I've been wanting to get you on the podcast for a long time, but the state of the market right now has you a very busy young lady.
Yes.
So that's why we're doing the late show. For those of you who don't know, it's 11 o'clock at night. Jacqui, I truly appreciate you sitting down with me in this late hour because I feel like you have a lot of pertinent information to share in your profession and then also about your ideologies, which I really, really intrigue me. And we're on the same page on a lot of shit.
Absolutely.
So. Cool. So how I usually like to start is just a very simple, who are you and what do you do?
Okay. So my name is Jacqui Spencer. I am 37, believe it or not. I get asked that
You look
question a lot.
fantastic. You're like my wife. You guys don't look over 19.
Yes, good genetics.
That's right.
I'm a realtor here. I'm from New York City. And, I've been a realtor for 8 years.
Wow.
And when I first moved to Florida, I thought, you know what? I have to go to college and get a degree, obviously, and do something here, make something of myself here. So I got into hospitality management, graduated with an associate's from Everest, which I had no clue that this was a school that eventually was going to go bankrupt and not be accredited. You can't move those credits anywhere.
No shit.
So, they got millions of people, right? So, so I finished that, worked at the Marriott, got paid $10 an hour, and I was like, there is no way that I'm working in this hospitality industry.
Yeah.
And yesing people to death and getting free rooms.
You couldn't see yourself there for a lifelong career.
No. I guess the long goal was going to be maybe a hotel manager or, some type of GM. Definitely not the front desk. I know you have to start from the bottom. But I always knew I wanted to be in hospitality, working with people in business. I love business. I love the hustle. I love helping people more than anything. I'm very personable. And people are very receptive to me. I genuinely want to help. There's never an ulterior motive with me, So if I can help, I will. I would totally extend myself. So I always been this way. So I knew that in the long run, it was going to be something that's business or helping people in some type of hospitality. Well, let's fast forward. So that didn't work out too well with the Marriott. I was like, there's no way I'm doing this. Then, life was kind of fun. I was having a lot of fun. By the way, I have an 18-year-old. So, being a mom at the time, I was single mom. I was previously married, having a life, being housewife and all that good stuff over there. So there was a gap there where I was just being wife, mom. Got divorced after 5 years, which I consider a successful marriage in today's society.
Yeah.
And met my husband, met Eric.
Who is a fantastic gentleman.
Yes,
I just
yes.
adore him.
Yes,
adore
yes.
you both.
I adore him as well.
Yeah.
He has been an angel to me. We've been together almost 9 years, married in June would be 6.
Wow.
And he completely changed my life for the better, I will say. I've been sober for 7 years, something that I would have never imagined in my early 20s that I would be. So that just changed the whole trajectory of my life, honestly. And maybe a year and a half after being with him, something dawned on me. I was like, I should just get my real estate license.
It was just kind of sent to you.
Yeah, so I went to school. I passed the class test. I failed the state test twice. It was so hard, by the way.
I've heard that.
The real estate exam is no joke. It's like taking a bar exam. And those math questions are completely useless, for the record. You never use that in real life. And I passed it after, and I was just so happy. I remember clearly when I passed and I got that P next to my name, I just cried. I just cried in the parking lot. For me, it meant it was hard work and dedication. right? Because when I failed the second time, I thought I was prepared. I literally locked myself in the room and I rewrote that book on loose leaf paper, and I'll cut them up. But I wanted to make sure that I really understood it. So I once heard someone say, if you can teach it, recite it, you know it,
Yeah, that's right.
right?
The best way to learn something too is to teach somebody it. Yeah.
So I just went chapter by chapter, paragraph by paragraph, and I rewrote it. So I would study it, and then I'll make my own index cards in my own words and get it right. So I knew I was ready at that point. I went, I passed it, I cried, I was so happy because I knew that that was my ticket, right? I'm a young girl from the Bronx, New York. And here I am with this license that can change my whole life
Yeah.
like that. With hard work and dedication to it, it can change my life. A lot of people think it's easy, and it's really not. Real estate is really not easy. It's a hustle.
I'd imagine you have to be a self-starter.
You have to be
multifaceted,
very disciplined,
very disciplined.
right? Because no one is on you.
Right.
You're not clocking in, you're not clocking out. If you don't do the work, you don't eat.
That's right. Some people think like, oh, I don't want a boss and I want to be my own boss. And then when they get into that position, they realize like, oh, it'd actually be easier for somebody telling me what to do because I'm just spinning wheels here. So you have to be able to be ingenuitive and creative and build relationships.
And prospect.
Right.
Prospect.
So explain prospect.
You know, you have to make the calls.
Right.
Right? Because something I didn't realize, but my heart was broken. My feelings and my ego were hurt quite a few times in the beginning of my career, right? Because you would think you got this license.
I hate to cut you off, but Bula.
Bula.
Oh, right
Wait,
here.
no.
That's you.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Blake.
Figure we'll just start this off the right
Yes.
way.
Well,
Bula,
I need
dude.
a shell. I need a custom shell.
Oh, we'll work on it for you.
Yes.
That one is dripping. I apologize. I don't know what's happening here.
It's always dripping.
Holy cow. That. Oh, give me 1 sec. Empty shell. I'm going to switch that over for you. I think there's a malfunction going on there. So you're heartbroken early on in your career.
Yeah, because I didn't realize, you know, you tell everybody you're a realtor now, and you think that you're going to be fed. Like, you know, your friends know you're realtor, family members know you're realtor. By the way, it's realtor, not realtor.
It is. So we all add that extra syllable in there.
What is
I
that?
do it too. Realtor.
Makes me cringe a
It's
little bit.
realtor.
Yeah. Because he's a pro. Thank you, Blake.
Sorry about that, Jacqui.
Thank you very much.
So everybody knows you're a realtor. You're thinking immediate success. I'm going to start selling houses like crazy. Everybody's
I
going to
knew
want me
the
to represent
journey
them.
wouldn't be easy, right? But I just didn't realize how hard it was going to be in the beginning, right? Everything in the beginning is always hard, by the way. You don't know. Oh yeah, I was dripping. So so you would think, you tell people you're a realtor, everyone's excited, everybody's congratulating you, yay. And then, lo and behold, you bump into someone and they're like, oh yeah, I closed on my house 2 months ago. And I'm like, with who? Or, you know, a family member will, you know, oh, well, so-and-so is actually shopping around. And it's like, with who? I'm a realtor. And, you know, I worked at Jacquis. Jacquis was the first big company that I worked for. And I love Jacquis. I mean, their mentor program that they have is amazing. The amount of training that they give you is amazing. So if you are a new realtor, I think that going with a bigger company is conducive to your business, just to get that type of experience over you, you know?
Yeah.
And get
One
that guidance.
for the leads and to be able to learn from.
No one gives you leads.
Interesting.
No.
Okay.
That's
the
another myth.
prospecting.
Yes.
Okay.
No one gives you leads.
Right.
For the record. You know, but you just get that guidance, right?
Yep.
From the seniors, people who know the business, people who know these contracts, because really and truly it's about that contract at the end of the day, right? So you know, when you hear this and it's like, what, they just closed, and it's just like, what? Or a really close family member or a really close friend, and it's like, wait, what the hell just happened? Am I in the Twilight Zone? I'm a realtor.
Right.
And one thing they bang into your head is you always have to stay in the top of the mind. You have to put your, you know, you always constantly have to repeat yourself and tell everyone you're a realtor. Every time you see them, remind them that you're a realtor.
Right.
If not, how many realtors are in Florida? Like the magician just said. I mean, there's so many realtors. Everyone has a cousin or a best friend that's a realtor or whatever. Everyone knows a realtor. So it was a little bit heartbreaking, and the first few times it sucked, and it was, woof. I almost wanted to be upset, and then I had to realize, well, I wasn't in the top of the mind, and you know, it all happened for a reason, and maybe I wasn't ready, and I was just making a reasoning for why they wouldn't come to me. But at the end of the day, it was me not being at the top of the mind.
Yep.
And being in their face, which I really don't like to do that, right? I don't like to be annoying. So now I am. Now I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm a realtor, just in case you forgot, you know?
Well, it's so important to be self-reflective like that. And you know, initially you want to be mad at your family members or friends, but then you're like, oh, wait, what could I have done differently?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm really good at that.
Yeah.
I don't have a really big ego. I push that to the side. I killed that a long time ago. But yeah, so you know, that was the beginning years, right? 1, 2, 3 years. But now after 4 years and they're still using someone else, it was like, hey, what's going on here? But that's not the case anymore. I've put a name out there for myself, and I've proven myself to be to play with the big girls.
Yeah.
In business, and I love what I do. And the one thing that I have mastered is that contract. Like I said, it's all about that contract. We're dealing with someone's biggest asset.
Yeah, so for me, Danielle and I are going to start being in the process of selling our condo. We want to take advantage of this seller's market. And as just somebody who wants to sell their condo, I don't think about any of that stuff. I think about finding somebody who wants to buy it, them making me an offer, saying okay, and going through with it. And like, what are the type of things that could potentially create a bad situation in a contract or in that transaction that happens? What are types of things that you look for that would be problematic?
First, inexperience, negligence. I think it's a big issue in the industry. A lot of people want the listing, right? Everybody wants the listing, I guess, to put it in that way. Everyone wants the listing. They'll throw numbers at you. Some people discount to realtors. I'll do it for 1%. It's not really about saving money as a seller. That shouldn't be the focal point, is how are you going to save money? You're going to make money no matter what. It's a seller's market.
Right.
You're going to cash out, especially if you bought, you know, a few years ago. You're going to cash out. It's about who's going to get you the best contract as far as all the terms, right? It's not who's going to close the quickest or who's going to give you the most money, like I was explaining to you downstairs. Right. It's about the terms. It's going to be how much escrow. We're going to start from page 1. Yeah,
cool. What is escrow?
Escrow is going to be the earnest deposit money that's a buyer will put in an escrow, usually we're a title company. They'll hold that money, and
this is to show that they're serious.
Yeah, this is to show that they're serious. This money will, at the end of the, of the transaction, it will either go towards the down payment or it will go towards their closing costs. However they want to utilize that money. But this is telling the seller, I want this house so much. I'm a serious buyer. I am willing to, what do you call it?
Put my money where my mouth is?
Not put my money where my mouth is, but I'm willing to gamble this money if I don't keep my end of the bargain.
Oh, so that money goes to the seller if they don't hold up to...
Right, which there's a few things that go here, right? So you have, for a sale, you have first things first. You look at the house, you love it, you want to put an offer. I'm just going to walk you through this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, perfect.
You like the house, you're going to put in an offer. How much is an escrow? It's like the third line down into the contract. How much is an escrow? Okay, you're going to put $10,000, $20,000 in escrow. Well, that goes into the escrow. Then it's going to be, I'm sorry.
I want to buy a house. I'd say I want
Let's
to put
start
the
from the
money in
beginning.
escrow.
Right. Let's start from the beginning.
Cool.
You're a buyer. You look at the house. You want to put in an offer. You put in your offer, your highest and best at this point, and you put the most amount of escrow in there, as much as you possibly can. This is saying, I'm a serious buyer. I'm willing to gamble this much money if I don't keep my end of the deal. What does that mean? Inspection period. In that contract, the as-is contract is very buyer friendly, right? It's not really designed for sellers. Why? Because of that inspection period, right? Default on the contract is 15 days. In the seller's market, that's shrinking. So people are getting, either they're waiving it at this point, or that window is getting smaller and smaller. So before, maybe 3 years ago, you can put 7-day inspection, or even 10, get away with 10, depending on how long the house has been sitting on the market. You can get away with 10. Then it was 7. Now I'm seeing contracts 3-day inspection period, 5-day inspection period. So what does that mean? That inspection period, if the buyer can cancel that contract whenever they want for no reason, just because they don't like the color of the wall anymore. In writing, they want to cancel.
And in the meantime, you've taken your house off the
now
market.
you have taken the house off the market. So that's exactly right. So you're taking your house off the market for this buyer for this extended amount of time here, and in this time, the buyer can really be still house shopping and looking at other things or putting contracts everywhere, or but they can back out whenever. Now the seller is stuck here with days on the market, accumulating on the market, and that's not what a seller wants right now, right? Things are selling in 2 or 3 days, so that inspection period is vital. So the shorter, the better for the seller. The longer, then. In a regular market, then the longer, the better for the buyer. Right? Because they can still shop around. They still have options. They're not locked in yet. That inspection period after that inspection period, it's locked in. That's it. The only thing that can get you out of this contract would be an appraisal, the inspection coming back all jumbled up, which, by the way, there are no perfect inspections. There's always going to be something. Little or big, things of that nature, depending if it's conventional or FHA, which I'll get into that later. If there's any termites in there, those type of things that happen during that inspection period that can maybe get you out of that. But besides those type of discrepancies in an inspection period, the only thing that can get you out is A, the buyer not getting the loan, being approved for the loan, or B, the house not appraising and you back out of it, period. The bank is never going to lend you more than what the house is worth. Period. So those are the only other 2 things that can get you out of the contract. Besides that inspection period was key. 15 days was great, but that was also a long time. If you can imagine 15 days off of the market and a buyer putting 15 days in there. I mean, they have over 2 weeks to kind of do whatever they want. Now the seller kind of, SOL. If they decide to go somewhere else and you just let a better qualified buyer go. So that all being said, for the sellers, what do you want to see in your contract? What will win the contract at this point, right? There's a lot of people coming in here from all over the country coming to Florida because we live in the beautiful Sunshine State with Ron DeSantis. I mean, who doesn't want to be in Florida? We're still kind of like a little free country over here in the South, right? So everyone's coming here. The weather, everything is so beautiful here. Taxes, tax breaks, everything is beautiful here. The lot sizes compared to New York, what you get for your money, it's just lovely here. And so what does a seller want to see? A seller wants to see a few things. You want to see the inspection period as short as possible, right? You want to see cash, right? Cash is still king in this market. Because what do we need? We need just a clear title. A lot of cash buyers are waiving inspection, or they're waiving appraisals. So that's a pretty much clean cut. 15-day clear title, you close, you get your keys. Done. Well, if it's not the case, which, by the way, we've had so much cash transaction, there is so much cash. And I might jump around because that's how my brain works.
That's okay.
But I want to say something about the cash deals.
Yeah, okay.
Right? Because of what happened in '08, A lot of people waiting for the crash.
Right.
They're waiting for the bubble,
That's right.
and they're gonna keep waiting.
Really?
They're gonna keep waiting. It's not gonna happen here in Florida. That's for sure. We have 45 million millennials that are about to hit the market, coming into these hot spots to buy, but we don't really have that many homes. So it's gonna be a seller's market for a long time.
Interesting. So it's not a bubble, it's a supply and demand issue.
Yeah.
And there's way more
We
demand than
don't
there
have
is
any
supply.
inventory. No.
Right.
No, we have what 1.5 months worth of inventory. We don't have any inventory. So the fact that people are waiting for it to crash out of no, like it's not going to crash, not here in Florida. Maybe other states might actually feel the brunt of that, but maybe job loss or things of that nature can maybe, I say if it does, it's going to take a little tiny dip. I think it's going to take a dip, but it's not going to be what happened in '08 where people were just going crazy. Everybody was losing a house, a lot of foreclosures. Banks were buying over these houses. It was insane.
Investors were making a bunch of money,
Well-
or were buying a house that's worth $300,000-400,000 now. In 2008, they could get for $85,000.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
they just gobbled it up,
Yep.
which I don't think that was a mistake or an accident,
Right.
to be honest.
Oh,
with you.
interesting.
But that's what we have. I mean, a lot of the stuff that got bought up now, it's all cash, and it's a lot of investors that bought it. Fix it up, spitting it back on the market. Even these rentals, what we're seeing with the rental market. So what happened then with the finance, that was all lending issues. A lot of it was lending issues.
Right.
But here's the difference between '08 and 2022. There's a lot of cash transactions. We're not worried about the banks and unqualified buyers getting homes and not able to afford them, which is what happened.
Yeah.
And these, adjustable rates,
Yeah.
right? The lenders are vetting buyers really, really well. I've seen a lot of buyers actually get denied. If you don't have your stuff together, you're not getting that loan. And so, they're vetting the buyers very well, but there's also a lot of cash deals right now. So a lot of people pulled either from the stock or sold from New York or New Jersey, Long Island, and they coming over here and buying cash. So, the cash is secure. They have their assets. So we're not going to see that big crash that we seen back then because let's face it, back then they were giving just about anybody a loan.
Yep.
And these people really and truly couldn't afford it. And they really didn't even have to prove as much, like their income as much as they do now. Now they look at things through a fine comb. Underwriting is not plain, which is very frustrating for a realtor because they go back and forth.
Because you want people to be able to buy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie The Big Short?
Yeah, I have, but I've always fell asleep. I don't know why I can't.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know why I can't get through it. I have
It's one of my favorites.
I have to really focus.
Yeah.
Focus on it.
Well, you're so familiar with it that it's probably not so eye-open, like jaw-dropping for you. You're very familiar with the market and the industry. But it discusses that whole situation. There was a small group of people who saw that bubble coming based on the loans, and they made a lot of money. They bet against the banks, and that's the story's told really well in The Big Short. And I reference it a lot on the podcast, but it's one of my favorites.
Maybe I need to sit down and like really focus and watch it and find some entertainment in it. But
so we shouldn't expect a crash. It's unfortunate.
No.
Danielle and I want to take advantage of the seller's market. The flip side of that is, where the fuck do we go?
Well, it's funny you say that, all right? Because she said, we just want to sell. And my first question to her was, where are you going to go?
Right.
That was my first question.
Right.
Where are you going to go?
Yeah.
Not because it's impossible, but do you have a exit plan? Are you looking to sell and buy something? Are you going to stay with family? Like, that's a real question. Where are you going to go? That's exactly the problem that we're having right now. There's sellers that are equity rich. They want to sell more than anything, but they have nowhere to go, and they don't want to move out of Florida.
Right.
They don't want to move out with the horses in the middle of Florida. They want to stay right here in Palm Beach County.
And it's impossible. We looked at a place to rent down the road here temporarily, a 1-bedroom, this new the flats here, and it's $24.50 a month, $2,450 a month for 1 bedroom, 600 square feet.
Well, that sounds about right. I mean, rentals have gone up by about 36%.
Jeez. I saw a news article that said Palm Beach Gardens and maybe Wellington are the largest increase in rental rates in the country.
Yeah, it just
Everybody wants to come here.
it's everywhere though.
Yeah,
It's everywhere in Florida.
right, in Florida, not in California, not in New
Boynton,
York.
Boca, it's everywhere. And I can only speak for my market, which I do real estate in Palm Beach County.
Okay.
Not last year, not in 2020, I did a lot of trips to Port St. Lucie, which, by the way, that market is destroyed.
In what way?
So you used to be able to buy a 3-2 single family home in Port St. Lucie, 16 to 1800 square feet under air for 287, 299.
That's what we're looking for right now.
Write it up, right? That was in Port St. Lucie,
Right.
where it wasn't even as developed or anything like that. Well, you have a lot of realtors that came from Palm Beach County. Can you move the fan that way a little bit? I'm gonna get sick.
Yeah, no problem.
You had a lot of realtors from Palm Beach County that came
Is that
to.
better?
Yeah, that's a lot better.
Yeah, sorry. It gets warm up here. I want to make sure you're comfortable. I got you.
Yeah, they seen what they were getting in Port St. Lucie, and they just jacked up these prices. And now, during the pandemic, you had a lot of people wanting to come down here from up north. They have no clue what's Port St. Lucie. There is nothing in Port St. Lucie worth your while, right? It's you will still have to commute 45 minutes to get to a good job, a good paying job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's really nothing in Port St. Lucie. And these realtors went over there and just started jacking up these prices to these homes for 325, started at 325, 350, 375, 389 for the same home that you used to be able to get for 250
Right.
overnight. And these homes were not appraising at all, by the way. They were all just overvalued, and people were just buying them sight unseen. So many sight unseens is not even funny. So in my opinion, they absolutely destroyed the Port St. Lucie market. So just jacking up the prices, people paying 20, 25,000, 50,000 over asking. It was just a mess. So I was doing a lot of back and forth trips with my buyers that were obviously outpriced here in Palm Beach County, and they figured, you know what, if I have to drive 45 minutes to get to work, then so be it, because we cannot afford here in Palm Beach. Let's go to St. Lucie, because everyone knows that St. Lucie County is cheaper.
Right. Quote unquote, more bang for your buck.
Right. So, but that wasn't the case. They realized really quickly, like, what is going on in Port St. Lucie? And so I spent so much money on gas and time and giving my clients gas cards, and losing contract after contract after contract. There was one buyer, we submitted maybe like 15 contracts. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
Like 15 contracts, maybe.
So that sounds like a bubble. Port St. Lucie, potentially with all of these overpriced homes that don't appraise.
Well, not right. Well, so the appraisal period, right? The appraisers look at anywhere between 60 and 90 days for their comps. So the prices were going up. So like I said, it happened overnight. The appraisals weren't catching up to it. Now probably is appraising, but not in some areas.
Yeah.
Right. Some areas the houses are still 240, like, and then you have a house, 2 streets over that was just nicely done up, and it's going for 350.
Yeah.
So those are still going to have an issue.
And you would credit that or blame the realtors?
Yes, I blame, and I'm sorry guys, but I blame realtors a lot for the stuff that's happening, even with the rentals and. Yeah.
Is it greed?
Well, because we're setting the price.
Right.
We're giving the seller or the landlord, like, this is what you can get for your money. And granted, the market is there, right?
Yeah.
The supply and demand is there, and I get it. But you're not only messing it up for the person that's worked so hard to live the American dream, to do everything right, go to school, graduate high school, they go to college, they finally graduate college, maybe they meet someone, maybe they got married, now they want to start a family, and now they are outpriced.
Nowhere to go.
They have nowhere to go, and now their dream is it's a frustration now. And so what does that mean for the generations to come? Like, you know what I mean? What are you doing for your kids? Not only are you messing it up for the person the millennials that are now just starting to get onto the market, but what are you going to do for like my 18-year-old? I just think of my 18-year-old.
Right.
Like, how am I going to push him out the nest if rents are $2,400
Yeah.
for a 1-bedroom? How?
And what job is he going to be able to get to afford that?
Like, who's
Or what,
making
3 jobs?
$8,000 a month?
Yeah, it's impossible.
Think about it. Like, coming out of school or just freshly graduating college, who's making $8,000?
Is this going to turn out bad for us in the long run, where people won't afford to live here, which will then push people out?
I believe so.
Right.
I believe so. It's already happening. And it's actually a really sad thing. I had a client, she had the penthouse in Old Port Cove in the Admiralty buildings. We actually sold for the highest.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Old Port Cove's beautiful, great location.
Yes, and then it kind of followed suit, but I kind of like set that bar there. And she wanted to buy here and still wanted to stay in Old Port Cove, middle-aged woman. She wanted to still stay here. She got pushed out to Ocala. It was just too much. She's now in Ocala and she hates it. She absolutely hates it. My in-laws, they sold really high here in Jupiter and they went to Port St Lucie and they hate it. They just closed 2.5 years ago. They want to come back here to Jupiter, Palm Beach Gardens. They can't. We're looking at $500,000 in the Heights. That's so sad when you look at the square footage.
We were going to go look in the Heights.
When I go into
you need $500,000.
$500,000, and we're looking at 1,300 square feet. You do the math on that. You're paying $300-$400 a square foot there.
Yeah.
And it's not even worth it. Yeah, so that's really going to hurt the market. I think that's actually going to catch up to us eventually. But there's a lot of people that want to sell. They cannot sell. There's nowhere to go. There's no inventory. Everybody's kind of on a standstill. Whoever's kind of selling, either they're selling, they're just cashing out and they're leaving, or honestly, I really don't know what these sellers are doing. I feel some of them are renting. They're hoping. I have a lot of buyers that are like, you know what, Jacqui, I think that we're just going to hold off because it's a frenzy. It's frustrating. And so that's another thing that I think that first-time home buyers are not aware of, the amount of stress that it puts on you to purchase a house. From the fun part is shopping, right? After you get your pre-approval. And then you're in contract. And I tell all my buyers, when we finally get the house and we have an executed contract, I said, it just begun.
Right.
Like this was the fun part. Now comes and I kind of ease them into the process that it's going to be afterwards. You have your inspection, you still have your appraisal, you still have your loan commitment, there's still so many hurdles and then your inspection, and you have to maybe renegotiate, and maybe the seller is like, what is as is, and that's it. And they don't understand that concept. They're just like, but why aren't they fixing it? And it's just like, because they don't have to.
It's a seller's market.
Because they don't really have to. They can sell it as is, and it's an as is contract, so they really don't have to, unless it's like a roof issue or a major issue, and even then they really don't have to. So yeah, it's like a double-edged sword for a realtor at this moment, right? Because especially if you're dealing with buyers and you're a buyer's agent, it's really hard unless you have either cash or you're conventional, which is another problem that we're seeing here. So you have cash, you have conventional, or you have FHA or VA. I feel really bad for VA loans. No one's even entertaining them. FHA, they're at the bottom of the pile. Conventional, those are almost even like, cash is king, and they either want cash or conventional, which is crazy because the rates.
What is conventional?
A conventional is a private bank.
Okay.
Yeah, and FHA, VA, these are government-backed loans.
Okay.
But the interest rates are way better right now for an FHA versus the conventional, but sellers are not entertaining an FHA. I don't know why.
You don't know why?
I don't know why, because it's all going to close at the end. They all still need to get inspections. The only difference is a termite inspection for an FHA.
Might have something to do with lack of trust for the government, or thinking that, I don't know.
They all close at the end.
Right.
They really, really do.
Right.
Why?
And you'll get your money.
Well, this is why. It's because with an FHA, loan, you can come in as low as 580 credit score and 3.5% down.
Really?
Yes.
Sounds like I might need to get an FHA loan.
Well, get ready to be in the bottom of the pile.
Yeah.
You're not winning.
So that means the sellers won't take you seriously.
No, a conventional is a in their mind more. And again, who's teaching them that? Realtors.
Right.
A seller doesn't know the difference.
Right.
Realtors are the ones telling them like, sellers don't know the difference.
What motivates a realtor to do that?
Well, they want to close.
They want to close, and cash means close.
Of course, fast close.
Fast close.
money.
Yeah.
And so, with an FHA, and I kind of wanted to brush up on this, and this is something that I really want, because I know that there's a lot of people that think that they cannot buy a home. And I know right now it's kind of like a turnoff to want to buy a home, but renting for $2,400 is also not feasible, and it's almost not doable for too long. You're never going to be able to truly save for your down payment and your closing costs paying $2,400. Your debt to income ratio is always going to be off. So it's going to just get harder and harder and harder as time goes by and these rentals keep going up. So saving is already hard. It was already hard. Imagine now with these rents going up, it's that much harder to save money. And inflation and prices to gas and food and everything has just gone up, right? So it just gets really hard. And so I know a lot of people, they don't know the first thing about buying or what they have to do. And I also know that there's a lot of qualified buyers out there that don't understand that they are. So I took a credit score course for my continuing education, and I just threw that one in there. And the average credit score is 708. The average is 708.
Is that statewide?
Yes.
Okay.
708.
Holy shit.
Is the average credit score.
People are paying their bills.
People are paying their bills.
That's cool.
Right? I was shocked, actually. I said 650, and that one, it was 708. I was actually really shocked.
Which means there's a lot of people who are qualified to buy a home who may
Yes.
not realize they're qualified to buy a home.
Yeah. And then a lot of people don't realize that we do have funding from the city, the county, or the state of Florida that will help them with the down payment or their closing costs.
And as a buyer's agent, you help facilitate all of that?
Yes, I do have the links and the phone numbers if they're ready to go through that process.
Right.
Yes. But right now, so, with an FHA 580 credit score, you're going to get a hit on the interest rate, but you can purchase a home, especially if you've had your job for 2 years. You're looking at taxes from the last 2 previous years. You've had a steady income. You have, 3 months worth of bank statements, 2 last pay stubs, steady job, 2 years of taxes with the same industry, not the same job. It's worth taking a shot and getting a pre-approval. The pre-approval is good for 90 days.
Right.
So, maybe you won't find the house right now, but you still have 90 days to kind of shop around.
And now you're pre-approved, so your seller's going to take you more seriously. They should, except for the whole FHA deal.
Yeah. So let's go back to you. So when she said that you guys wanted to sell, and someone gave a price to you guys, well, my first question is, first, where are you guys going? Second, I feel it's very important for sellers to get inspections done.
Yes.
Get an inspection done. Know what's the issues. Why wait until we're under contract and then start waiting for the buyer to get an inspection? The buyer, by the way, does not have to give the seller the inspection report. The buyer paid for it. The seller doesn't own it.
So get your own.
Get your own.
Yeah, in advance.
That way you know what needs to be tweaked. If everything is good, or okay, so there's some plumbing issues, or maybe the AC, or the AC is not blowing the right way, just so that you're not surprised. If at that point you want to evaluate and say, oh, okay, this is good, these are a few little things, as is. Or, listen, this might become a problem. Let me just fix it, put it on the market the right way. I have confidence selling this place.
Yeah.
Right? In your case, it's worth just, I have an inspection company, $175. What's $175? Get it done ahead. Look at your market, look at your comps. In my opinion, I also don't like the realtors that say, you know what, I'll do it for 1%. That whole 1% stuff drives everyone crazy, because we put a lot of hard work. Me, for example, I don't put any lock boxes on any of my listings. I show every single listing.
Yeah.
It's crazy. At times it's overwhelming. However, I get the up close and personal with not only the buyer, I'll know if that buyer's just kicking tires, if they love the house, if they don't really like the house. I get a feel for the realtor, right? Their demeanor, how they work. You know, you get to know a lot within that 10 minutes of being with everyone in the room, right? You get a good feel for that. Sellers really appreciate it. You don't have strangers coming in and out of your house all day with a lockbox.
Yeah.
Walking, getting that energy. I'm all about energy.
Yeah.
You know,
We are too.
getting a whole bunch of strangers in your house. You know, big thing we're seeing right now, a lot of fraud.
Fraud?
A lot of fraud. So
What type?
well, we're seeing a lot of rental frauds. We're putting I'm seeing a lot of rents on the Facebook Marketplace. They're putting it for rent, and you call, and they will, you know, draw you up a contract, but tell you to give your security deposit in a Zelle or in Cash App. And this place is either A, not for sale, or B, not for rent.
Right. Or isn't allowed to be rented, sublet, or
Any of
whatever.
that
Like
stuff.
our neighborhood, you can't do short-term rentals,
Yeah.
but we're seeing people posting on Facebook Marketplace
Yeah.
short-term rentals in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And if somebody were to commit to that, and then the neighborhood's like, "No, you can't do that." They've
Right.
already given their money.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you know, somebody fraudulently putting your property address on the wire. Now you have people driving all day in front of your house. Like that's bringing a lot of attention
Yeah.
to your house, or you know, whatever, which is also really scary. So I like to show my houses and show my listings, see my buyers, see the agent. Like that's really important for me too, because I want to know who I'm working with, because a transaction doesn't end and start there. I mean, this is a relationship, so you have to, you know, really enjoy who you're working with as well,
Yeah.
unless everything is right.
So if we're driving around looking for a house, right, and we find a house with a for sale sign on it, and there's a realtor on that for sale sign, do you suggest that rather than us calling that realtor, we call our realtor and then have them do the communication?
I will say, well, it depends. If you are working with a realtor, integrity is big. You're working with a realtor.
Right.
The buyer doesn't pay commission. So it really is not going to cost you to tell your realtor, hey, listen, I'm interested in this house. Can you get some more information? I would like to take a look.
Right.
But what you're seeing is also a lot of buyers that they really don't have any loyalty. But that's because maybe they just met that realtor maybe from a call, and they just kind of showed them around. So they don't really care. They'll go around that agent, go directly to the listing agent in hopes to get a better deal, because the seller is going to save money on the commission. You know, so of course the listing agent is going to love that, right? But who's protecting you?
Right.
Who's protecting you in that contract?
Right.
And when it comes to that type of situation, the listing agent has fiduciary duties to her client, which is the seller. Well, how about you?
Right. It would be a conflict of interest for her to represent you both, but they do it.
Yeah,
Right?
but it still will be kind of biased in
Yeah.
a way. You can't deny it's human nature to be, right? So you're completely unprotected. They're not going to answer all your questions that you might have. They're not going to keep up with your lenders. Like that is you're just completely left out there in this situation. Yeah, granted, you have the house. You're not getting that much of a better deal. It's not like the seller's going to drop the price. You're still going to pay full price, and now you're completely unprotected. Me, on the other hand, you know, I'm dealing back and forth with the lenders, right? I make sure that I put timestamps. Once we're on the contract, by the way, that same night, I go ahead and do all the timelines for everything they're going to need. When escrow is due, when inspection is due, when is title due, when is the appraisal due, when is loan commitment due. All those dates, I put it in an email for everyone to see. The listing agent, the lender, and the buyer,
Yeah.
and title. So everyone's on board. Everyone knows your dates. Because those are the ways you get tripped up in the contract, that all these dates mean something. There's deadlines and there's dates that you put in there for a reason. So you have to be really careful. You think that the listing agent is going to keep up with those dates for you? Well, if you mess
It
up,
actually works in their benefit if you mess up.
Yes.
Ah.
If you mess up, they keep your escrow. Well, I'm sorry, but your inspection was due by this date, and now you're on day 8.
This is why your 3%, if that's pretty standard, is invaluable.
Right.
because you would help us facilitate everything to
100%.
make sure. Interesting. God, I didn't realize how involved and in depth real estate sales is. I literally was very ignorant on the topic. This will be our first sale. And this has been massively educational.
Then you have, your 1%ers, right? Yeah, they'll take your listing. They'll say, I'll list it for 1%. We'll give the next party 2%. But what are they doing? They're going in there. They're probably taking phones with their iPhone, pictures with their iPhone. They're putting it on the MLS, real poor quality photos. And that's it. And they don't even put all the information onto the MLS. And here's the thing, inside thing. Realtors look at the commissions through the MLS, right? Things that we can see on the background. A transaction's a lot of work,
right?
Especially when you have a lot of them going on. And remember, only these days, some realtors, if they see that they're only getting 1%, they won't send that listing over to their client. They're like, there's no way I'm gonna do all this for 1%. They'll bypass that listing. So and I've had listing appointments where the seller is like trying to haggle you on the commission, and I get it. And of course I stand up for my work and the amount of work that I put in there. I don't discount myself. You cannot start becoming a discount realtor, because then you'd start doing discounted work, right? And that becomes your reputation. You know your worth. Get what you're worth. And I tell them all the time, if I do this and I put 1% or 2% for the buyer's agent, people are working on commission.
It motivates the buyer's agent.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. People that are paying out 3%. If you're an agent who's getting the 6%, the way that we were told at Kai's that we should be getting is the 6%. When they see that 3%, man, they're so excited because they know all the work they're about to put in there, and they're worth the 3%. Once you start seeing anywhere 2%, 1%, there's a lot of agents that are like, there's no way. There's just no way I'm working for 1% and do all that.
Especially if they're bogged down and loaded down with other deals that are going on.
Hey, listen, if you're going to take a picture with your iPhone on a listing and put it on the MLS and say good luck, then whatever.
Who pays for the high quality photographs? Is that something that you pay for as a realtor?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
So when you represent my place, you're going to bring in the photographer, because that's what's going to help you make your commission.
Yes, because these pictures go onto the MLS and they shoot out to the world.
Yeah.
They see it everywhere.
Right.
Anywhere in the world see these pictures. And where do people shop? They shop online.
Yeah.
They shop online first. They fall in love with these places online first. And good quality pictures and a lot of pictures give them a feel like they're in the house. Like, man, I really need this house, right?
Yeah.
Versus those pictures you get that are like really, really tiny. You can barely see anything, or they'll put one or two pictures, or they'll just put front picture of the house. It just,
what's up with that, with just the front picture of the house?
No, I don't know if it's maybe, I'm so curious to see what's on the inside. Honestly, Blake,
okay.
I don't know, but it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Like they want to see it all. They want to see the laundry room. They want to see the bathroom. They want to see the shower. They want to see the kitchen.
And when you're doing it, you're picturing yourself in that home before you've even gone on property.
This is all visual.
Yeah.
Like, we want to see it, So the more pictures and the better quality pictures, those homes sell fast. Now, in this market, are you almost compelled to do a for sale by owner? I can see how that could be enticing. Like, I could do this on my own. I can do this on my own. It's the seller's market. Why wouldn't I want to just sell this on my own? I can do it. Yeah, you can. And you'd probably be successful if you've done this, especially if you've done this in the past. You just need a lawyer. However, with a realtor, you're going to get the most amount of money and the most exposure.
Right.
Because the minute that thing hits the MLS, it goes out there into the world. Immediately your phone starts, every time I input a listing, I kid you not, within that hour, my phone and my text messages are blowing up. So I'm getting so much activity versus you putting a for sale by owner sign in your front yard.
Somebody has to drive by to see it.
Yeah. And again, the seller, if they've never done this before, they're not protected either by that contract.
Right.
Right. Unless they have a lawyer, of course.
And a lot of people are moving from out of town. So, of course, they're looking online.
Yeah.
They're not going to drive by the front to see your for sale sign.
Yeah. We're starting to see a lot on the MLS, no contract sight unseen. No contract sight unseen. So these people that were buying, within the pandemic, they were just from New York, putting a contract. They're not doing that anymore here.
The
Why?
sellers are not doing it?
Yeah, we're not accepting that anymore.
Why
Why?
is that?
Because they want to take it off the market with the most appealing contract, good numbers. Then they come down here, you've done taking it off the market. They know you're from out of town, so you can ask for a longer inspection period. It gives you times to come down here and do your inspection and see the house. Now it's off the market for 7 days, and they're like, oh no, this house is nothing like what I thought it was. Now
Yeah.
your house is off the market for 7 days.
Right. In a fast market.
Accumulating days on the market. In today's market, if your house is on the market for 12 days, that's a long time.
Are you kidding?
That's a long time. It's like, what is going on with that one? I wonder why that one's still on the market. Could you imagine?
Holy
2 weeks.
shit. People
Two-
are buying like this.
Yeah. Especially with good pictures.
Yeah.
You know what sells homes, Blake? Cleanliness.
Yes.
Clean homes.
Yeah.
Clean homes. You take out as much of your personal items as possible, box them up, put them away is worth it. If you want to get the most, right? Clean homes, take out as many personal items out, a good smelling home, and a well-priced home. Because you know what? Even still in this seller's market, an overpriced listing is still sitting on the market a lot longer. Anytime you see not every time, but a lot of the times when you see a home sitting on the market 30, 40, 50, 60 days, there's a few things going on. Either it's really a rundown house, right? It's really a rundown house, or there's something funny going on. Maybe the smell. There's just maybe weird vibes, because that can happen too. But 9 times out of 10 is the price.
It's overpriced.
It's the price. No one's going to overpay. So
there's an art to that too, with getting the most for the money, but not outpricing yourself so that you don't get the attention you need.
yeah, so you don't, you it's a seller's market. So you start off on the higher end of the market. When I go on listing appointments and I'm doing my comps, so I look at the comps, and I'm so good at pricing. My appraisals come in very, very close to my numbers.
Nice.
I'm very proud of that.
Yeah.
Actually, it's something to be very proud of, because that means you have a good feel for the market. And when it comes to my buyers, I have a good sense for what areas are about to start appreciating, even if it's kind of not the best area right now. But I'm like, trust me.
This neighborhood's turning.
Trust me. Investors are coming in here. They're turning these around. 2, 3, 4 years. You're gonna have some equity in this house before your first birthday on this home. So just
That's one of the
trust me.
challenges we're having while looking. We're looking in our price range, south of $400,000, and we can't find anything for $350,000 in the area. In our area is like a rundown house in an undesirable neighborhood.
Where are you guys looking?
I mean, we haven't looked specifically, but I just put West Palm Beach because we wanted to be close to here.
Yes.
And I put, $400,000. And the things that show up are like condos, and we don't want to be in a condo, or houses that look like, you might as well level the house. And it just, to me, it was so eye-opening of what things are going for. We went and we looked into Cuesta. We'd love to be into Cuesta.
There's never any listings into Cuesta.
Yeah, we found one. It's a 2-2, was slightly redone, like painted.
A
It
home
did
or
have
a
new
condo?
windows, a home. And it's $499.
Yes. You're not gonna find anything under that.
We looked in North Carolina for $499. You get like a mansion.
Yeah.
But then also, like the politics of where you live are so important too. Like, we don't want to leave because of the freedom that you talk about.
Right.
Who knows what's going to happen down the line. So it is alarming. It's like worrying where we're going to go, but we're at a point where we know we want to take that next step. And sometimes, we don't want to do what I call paralysis by analysis, like not do anything because we're thinking. We're just going to shake things up a bit, I think.
This is what I did for a client that I'm working with now. I put it on the market because it's a seller's market. They know they want to buy. So I listed it. I showed it one day. So I put it on coming soon. Once I put it on the market, I had 15 showings. I showed it one day. Out of those 15 showings, ask me how many contracts I got.
How many contracts?
15 contracts.
What?
3 of them being cash. And all 3 of them were over asking for the same amount. It's funny, for the same amount,
Interesting.
coincidentally. Yeah. But what me and the sellers were talking about is, because of this market, where are they going to go? So we did a lease back. A lot of people don't like to lease back because buyers want to buy and they want to move in now. But when you disclose that up front, when you disclose that in your showing, right, which is why you show it, and you don't just put it on the MLS and write in brokers, remarks. You get to speak to the buyer. So, what's your time frame? This is what my sellers want. This is what my sellers need. They need a lease back. They need to have that flexibility to do a month to month.
So sell it to a buyer.
You sell it,
and then you lease it from the buyer.
lease it back
Interesting.
on a month to month,
Wow.
right? And if it's cash, even better,
Right.
right? So, so the top 3 contracts that all came in over asking, looking at them side by side, it was the better terms. It was who was going to lease it back for a reasonable price and who was going to give them that annual month to month because of the market that we're in.
Right.
So, because you want to sell and you want to close on your place so that you can have the funds. So that when you do find something, you can have a bigger escrow. Like, all your ducks are in a row. You're ready to rock and roll at that point. And so now you don't have to sell in order to buy. You don't have to buy with a contingency of selling your place. You're ready to rock and roll. So that might be an option for you
Interesting.
guys.
Well, our thing is we're lucky enough to have a family member's house who we can stay in,
Yep.
and we wouldn't want to prolong. One, we would lose our window of where we could stay there.
Right.
So we wouldn't want to prolong, the hunt for something new. So I think our goal is to sell and then stay with family for about 6 months, maybe a little less,
Yep.
and then hope that we come across that
what
perfect situation.
What we did, we closed in November, December, January, February, March. 4 months. It took us 4 months
Yeah.
to find a place, really actively looking. But it took us 4 months to find the place, and always stay positive, right? Not lose hope. Okay, you might lose a few contracts, but not lose faith or hope or get frustrated. Positive, always positive.
Right.
That you know what, it's gonna come to you. Just manifest it. Think positive. Don't stress out. It's gonna come.
Yeah.
It always comes.
Yeah.
And it's always better than what you even wanted. So
Right.
sometimes being patient and positive really is the key to making this all manifest in your life.
I think that's a great philosophy, not just in real estate sales, but in life in general.
You know what
know?
is also lacking in the industry? What I'm noticing is consult. So, realtors really finding out what their client needs, whether it's a buyer or a seller. Really, really sit down with them, find out everything. Find out why they want to sell. Find out where they want to go. Find out what exactly it is that they're looking for. Like, there's just so many questions that you have to ask. Is way more than just, let's sell it and let's put it on the market for this
Right.
price.
Because you got to do some management of expectations.
It's emotional.
Yeah, okay.
Real estate is emotional. Unless you're an investor and this is just what you do, real estate is also very emotional. It's an emotional roller coaster from beginning to end, especially if you have any real emotional attachments, like you raise your kids in that house.
Yeah.
Like, it's very emotional. It's more than just money at this point. Yeah, you want to make money, but it's very emotional, and you don't know what kind of attachments people have. Maybe it was their first home. Like, there's just so much, but there's just so much information that you can extract. That is how you help your client the best way you know how, right? You can find the better buyer for them. You can find better terms for them. There's just so much beyond the price, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just did a consultation with a buyer. She's in New York right now. She has a co-op in New York. I had a friend, hey, listen, I'm sending you over a friend. She wants to buy something here in Florida. I give the friend a call. We were on the phone for an hour and a half, chit-chatting about a lot of different things, but a full consultation I gave her. For your co-op, what are the steps to sell there? There's an approval process, and you have to give notice to the HOA sometimes and let them know that you're going to sell. Like, there's sometimes a big process. So, So what, do you have to sell there in order to buy here? Are you doing cash? Are you doing a loan? How much money do you have for escrow? Do you have your closing costs and escrow? There's a series of questions for you to be able to help them in the best way, right? So if not, there's a lot of surprises. They're like, why didn't you tell me? So she came to Florida from New York. She was chit-chatting with a realtor from New York for months, she said. Months. She finally got on a flight, came to Florida on a tour to view places. The realtor never asked her if she had a lender, if, hey, you need a pre-approval. She didn't say anything. So when she's on her flight, she tells the realtor, hey, listen, I'll be there later on today. Maybe tomorrow we could go for a tour. On the tour, she tells her, you know that you need a pre-approval, right?
Now she's already flown to Florida.
Now she paid for a ticket to come to Florida, and now you're telling her that she needs a pre-approval. Like, now you're asking her all those questions, and at the end of the consultation, I mean, she was just, I asked her, I said, has anybody given you a consultation? Because I gave her exactly what needed to happen from A to Z, and she was just like, no, I didn't. And I was really upset and blindsided that she tells me now that I needed a pre-approval. It was just really, really sad. Like, there's a lot of people who really, truly need guidance.
Right.
And how to position them in the best way. If you're not a cash buyer and you need a loan, let's sell your place first. Once you're under contract and once you finish your inspection period, we'll get you a pre-approval here. Right? We'll get you a pre-approval here, and then you get on your flight. Once you have a closing date, then you get on your flight and we really start looking. Like, there's a plan of action here.
Yeah.
How long does it take to sell in your market in New York? Is it 15 days? Is it 45 days? So that we can gauge it here. How long does it take for the HOA over there to approve your sale? There's a lot of questions here. If not, you're really wasting your time, their time, and you're kind of leaving a bad taste in their mouth for what realtors are or what they should be doing in their profession. And I think some people just get in this profession, they don't understand. It's a lot of education.
Yeah.
Educating the seller or educating the buyer. But
So it seems like you are very knowledgeable, and you have a lot going on, but you have such an even keel about you. And to change directions a bit, do you have things that you do personally to stay grounded during all of this frenzy that you speak of?
I do. I've been a plant mom. So I had a client during a showing. I was showing her a property, and at the time we were renting in Palm Beach Gardens, and our landlord has said she's not renewing, she's going to sell. And we didn't have that much time, and we didn't have a pre-approval, like nothing. We were actually going to renew the lease when she dropped that bomb on us. And so it was just a hard time. It was very, very stressful. We needed a place to live, and it was just very stressful. And I'm showing my client, which is a repeat client, a property, and I let her look inside and do all her measurements. I sit in my car. I'm like looking through my MLS for myself. I walk back in to lock it up, and I see this on the island is this beautiful rattlesnake calathea, and I'm like, was that already here? And she made a whole basket for me with truffle and cheeses and wine, and it, just such a beautiful basket, but this beautiful plant in the middle. And I literally cried. I had an emotion in me that I've never felt before. It was not only appreciated, but it came at the right time, right when you needed it. It just brought happiness to me in a state of mind that I was in. It was just like hopeless. And I said, I'm going to take such good care of this plant, like right there. And I fell in love with that plant, and I committed to that plant. We closed on our house. That was the first plant in my house. And then that journey just developed to 60 plants later.
60 plants?
Yeah. So the goal is to have like a jungle in my house, quite honestly, good oxygen.
No
But
kidding.
I have like 60 babies, and I love them all. And that, more than anything else in life, at one moment I reflected while I was repotting one of my plants, and I felt so present. I realized that I didn't think about anything else while I was doing that. Like, time went by. I'm like, wow, it's 4 o'clock. Been on this since this morning. And it was just so present, and it felt so grounding and so good. And at that moment, I felt what being present was.
Yeah.
Only in that. And so that really has helped me with a lot of things. It's helped me with anxiety, which most people have. It's helped me with, depressions, which usually are attached to anxiety, right? And honestly, I feel like they cured me in a way.
No shit.
Yeah.
And this all started as somebody gave you a gift of a
Yeah.
plant. And did you know what the plant was when she gave it to you?
Nope.
But now you know.
Oh, yeah. Now I know a lot of them.
Yeah. Plants are very difficult to keep alive. Maybe
yeah, I
they're
used to
not
say I
as
didn't have a green thumb.
right.
And now all of my plants are like beautiful and thriving, and they're alive and they have a consciousness. And weirdly enough, I have a connection to each and every single one of them.
Did you say that they have a consciousness?
Yes, they do. And awareness as well. They
That
do.
is such an interesting concept that I've heard about. There's I think there's been studies done on talking to plants, playing music to plants, all of
Yes.
these different things that they respond to,
Yes.
which there also is these flowers that grow in the shape of birds. Have you seen these?
The flowers, or is it the plant, the bird of paradise?
Okay, bird of paradise is one of
Yeah.
them. I'm going to pull up some images here so you can see this. But it's like, how did they know to, because I guess they grow to be a bird, look like a bird, so that
Yeah, like the bird
predators,
of paradise.
yeah, but so that predators don't mess with them.
Mm-hmm.
But how is this bird aware, or this plant aware enough to know what a bird looks like? I'm going to use voice search in my phone here real quick. Flowers that look like birds. I want to show you some of this stuff. So obviously the first one that comes up is bird of paradise. But
There you go.
let me go to images here.
It literally looks like a bird of paradise.
Oh, what's happening? Oh, I see. I went to Amazon.
There's many studies now.
Look at this.
Is that the bird of paradise?
No, this
No,
is a
that's an
different
actual
bird. Beautiful
bird.
Australian
plant.
shub has flowers shaped like
Let
birds.
me see that.
So for those of you who are listening and not watching,
Whoa.
I'm showing Jacqui a picture of a flower that looks like a hummingbird feeding.
Wow.
Is that unbelievable?
Well, I just got a Venus flytrap.
I love carnivorous plants.
That has been on my bucket list of plants for a long time. And apparently they are protected plants.
Okay.
They're protected plants. You shouldn't just buy them from just anybody. You want to make sure they're sourcing them right. Apparently they're like almost like endangered. Naturally, in nature.
Look at this.
What? You sure that's not
I
photoshopped?
promise. I promise.
That looks too real.
There's something Yulan magnolias, and they look like lovebirds.
That looks almost photoshopped.
You should look into it more to see if I'm incorrect on this.
Send that to me.
Look at these.
No way.
The blossom of the purple magnolia,
Send that to
which
me.
looks like a bird. I will. I'll send it to you.
Investigator Jack Lantern will get to the bottom of that. That
Jack
looks photoshopped.
Lantern?
Yeah,
Is that your nickname?
that's what Eric calls me.
That's cute. So somehow these plants, as long as they're not photoshopped, which these are all like different versions of that plant, they've figured out a way to make themselves look like a bird so that predators don't mess with them. And in that sense, they have to have a level of consciousness. And would they have to be able to see? How does something like
No,
this
they don't
happen?
see. They don't see. They are telepathic. They have studies on this already. It's confirmed beyond any doubt. They do have a consciousness and they are telepathic. They know how you feel about them, whether you love them or whether you don't care about them. They know. They did a study also. So it was with a cabbage. One of the cabbages was shredded to pieces. I think the study was in Germany. Shredded to pieces by a man, and then they put the cabbage along with like 3 other cabbages that were healthy and not chopped up. First of all, the cabbages that were not chopped up, they felt really, really sad because they plugged on those little frequencies. Have you seen those videos where they plug onto the plant so they can see the frequencies of the plant?
Yeah, I've seen it with mushrooms.
Yeah, so the other plants are really sad, actually. Okay, so and then they put it in a room, and they had 3 men come into the room. And the first guy, there was no waves on the monitor. The second guy came in, there was no waves on the monitor. When the third guy came in, the ratings on that just the
Is
readings.
this the guy who chopped up the
He's
cabbage?
the one that chopped up the
Holy
cabbage.
shit.
Yes, yes,
Holy
it knew.
shit.
It knew. It knew. It knew its frequency. It knew. So me and Eric like to listen to medicine music sometimes, like
These like frequency
like
sounds?
Pachamama, like a lot of Pachamama indigenous music. And him and I one time were listening to a song, a song outside of our house. It was like 3, 4 in the morning. One of those nights, probably came from here, and I put it on. It's healing music, and it was a lot of drums. It was like that kind of like indigenous music with the drums.
Yeah.
We listened to the whole thing, right? And I came into my house. I have pictures. I love air plants as well. So I have air plants in my lantern. It's all weeded up. When we walk in and I turn on the lights and I look over to the corner, I was like, what the hell is that? First of all of my plants. I live in a 1935 single family home that has a foyer before you get into my house.
Right.
So there's like double doors, right? All of the plants, I felt that energy, the presence of them when we walked in. And then we go in the house, I didn't think anything of it. We walked in the house, I turned on the light, and when I look up, because they're on my lamp, they were opened up they'll show me like the most inner leaf. I'm going to show you something right now. It looked insane.
Something you had never seen them do before.
Never. They were listening to Pachamama.
Oh my
that
God.
Pachamama music, like, Mother Earth music was. And I was just like, I just took 100 pictures of them because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And that look at this. It showed me the most inner leaf on the inside. All of them were just so open. See that?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I don't know what they looked like before, but I see how far open they are.
See that? They're usually kind of closed up like this.
Huh.
Look at how that plant is
So
opened
for those
up.
of you who are listening and not watching, Jacqui's showing me pictures in my phone
Maybe they can see
of
it.
what type of plant is that?
These are all air plants.
Air plants.
They
And
were
they are wide open.
Wide open. And their energy, my hairs were standing. I'm telling you, I took like 30 pictures of them. I couldn't believe my eyes. And Eric, he's a guy. He doesn't really like pay attention. He's like, whatever. And the next day, they were back to normal. And I was like, do you see what I'm talking about now? It's insane. They felt those drums. They felt that energy. They felt that Pachamama. And they were just like alive and like, they were loving it.
So our neighbors at the unit next to us, they have 3 large planters out front here of a type of succulent bush.
Mm-hmm.
And the one closest to us was like growing like crazy, and it was kind of coming into our seating area. So I went next door and asked if they minded trimming it back because it was like out of control, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they told me this story. And now the plant closest to their entrance was like very small. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy says to me, I'm going to tell you something weird. This is going to sound crazy, but one of our employees here, we were commenting on how that plant wasn't growing and all the other plants were flourishing. She said, I have a confession to make. I wanted to do an experiment. So every day that I come in here, I say terrible things to the plant by the front door.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't flourish at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is anecdotal, obviously, but I know there have been studies on this. And similarly with water. Have you heard about the study with water where words are put on the labels, on the bottles of the water, and then they microscopically look at the molecules in the water, and they're changed by the words that are on them?
Mm-hmm. And the rice one.
I don't know if I know that one.
I forgot. I think it was a Chinese scientist that did it, saying bad things, and cooked rice. It was cooked white rice.
Yeah.
It was saying beautiful words to one of the pots of, one of the ones that were in the pot. Beautiful, kind, I love you, you're so beautiful, and the other rice, it was like, fuck you and hate you type of shit, The rice that was being spoken to really nicely, never rotted, versus the one that was being spoken to uh, with the bad words and just hateful words, rotted. It was black. It was disgusting.
It's such
That's an old study.
it's such evidence of the interconnectivity of all of us and the all types of life on this planet. You know, a lot of times we get so caught up in our like box lives. You know, we drive a box to go work in a box and go home to go to a box.
I am so disconnected from that reality. I don't live that reality, Blake. I don't live that reality. A lot has changed for me, actually. For my reality, since January of last year. But I did Bufo, 5-MeO DMT recently, with my lovely friend Miso. And since that day, my life has completely changed. I see things from a whole different perspective. I see things from my most inner field in my body, and my light source. And my light form. I don't know if anyone out there knows what Bufo is.
So wait, so just I don't. When you say, I know of the Bufo Toad that are like poisonous to dogs.
It is the toad.
Okay, and what do you do to with the Bufo?
So, it was done. It was held ceremonial.
Okay, like with the
It
shaman.
called me, actually. Like, I've never done ayahuasca. Lately, as of late, it started calling me. When you start trickling into these plants, you have to be ready for it, right? You're not doing this recreationally. They don't want you to do it recreationally. You're looking for something in it. I love mushrooms. I've taken, I microdose a lot. I even microdose now. I microdose a lot, not to get all high and groovy, but just for my well-being, for the pathways of your brain. It changes a lot. People use it medicinally for depression and anxiety and all those good things. It's part of my DNA at this point, I think. I could be there without even doing it. I feel like I can get to that place. But what keeps coming up for me, not only the synchronicities and the serendipities, but the being present. For my birthday in January, I did mushroom tea and some mushrooms, and I'll never forget the peak of it. I come running to Eric, and I'm like, this is what the present is. And it was like this vortex around me, and I was right in the center of it. And I was telling him, this is the only thing that matters. Like, just you and I, eye to eye, this is the only thing that matters. And what happens is that every second, every blink, we connect an emotion to that moment, to what we're seeing. We're connecting an emotion, whether it's bad, whether it's trauma, whether it's happy, whether it's whatever that is. And that's what makes up our life, right? But that moment you can never get back. That's it. That's already considered the past, right? And we don't know what's going to happen the next second. It was just that one moment, but it was this feeling of just being it all, and just looking at right now, just you and I, And I've been living from that lens. And honestly, it's so hard to explain it to people, because they don't really understand. There's a lot of people who don't know what really being present is. And I feel like I've been gifted that, being present. That keeps coming up for me, and I've been really embracing it and breathing through that, breathing life through that. When I did the Bufo, just truly being pulled out of yourself and back into your light form, and just being it all. It was really profound, and it kind of did something to me internally, and my views on life. I no longer am part of that rat race. I don't fall into the anxiety and depression and the worrying of the world could probably be burning around me, and I am not worried about it. It doesn't matter.
That's amazing.
It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is exactly where I'm at.
I have so much trouble living in the present. This podcast is an exercise for me personally to live in the present. I have a real passion for interpersonal communications and hearing people's stories. But, my whole life for years, I was trying to create a future of making rap music, and all I could think about was like the record deal that I was going to get tomorrow, or and I or constantly thinking about how I could have done things differently to make tomorrow. And it was like I rarely ever lived in the moment, and I found that there were certain things that I could do that would force me to live in the moment. Mine were usually games, like playing pool, billiards is really helpful for me because it forces me to focus on the task at hand and enjoy it and live in the moment. Card games or board games, it's like an exercise for me to live in the moment. And it's not easy to do because the world is full of, it's like distractions. And if you tune into any sort of media, you're constantly being told that the world is ending or there's perilous, things afoot. And it's hard to not worry about all that.
It's like you being that experiment that we were just talking about, the good and the bad, the good and the bad. And it's really what your frequency is tuned into, right? You can focus on that all day, on that stuff all day, the negative stuff, what's going on, the worldly news, the day-to-day, the social media, the stuff that you follow. Like that's really what's going on here, right? Some people their frequencies are just so negative. And so
like we're the rice, we're the water.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah,
you gotta speak really nicely to yourself, though. You gotta really love yourself, and that's really key. The key is loving yourself first. And sometimes we don't really realize how much we don't love ourselves until we start loving ourselves. And it's like, damn, how was I thinking? Like, I wasn't loving myself then, just what you're eating. It's about it all. Like, you and I and Eric and Danielle and people like us could go down this rabbit hole and get lost in it. It's everything. It's almost like they conspire to like make us all this way. We are all like GMO, and it starts with our water. Like the most simplest thing with our water. You just look up what's in our water right now. It's no wonder we are all stressed out and depression and all these mental health, and then regular health like diabetes and cancer and just so much stuff. We have to start becoming more conscious of us and what we're ingesting. It starts there, right? It starts what we're ingesting, what we're putting on our bodies. And I know it sounds like so like, this is a trendy. It's really not. It's really simple. It is quality water. Be more conscious. Read more labels. If you choose to turn a blind eye, but we all know that TBHQ is not good for you, and we all know that fructose is not good for us. What's TBHQ? So what they use TBHQ for, and I can't tell you the full name of that acronym, but just last night, because I want to detox my liver because of the very important function of the liver and the hormones. And Eric has hypothyroid, and I hope the baby doesn't, but his family has a family of hypothyroidism and all that stuff. And so what TBHQ does, it helps absorb anything that you put on or ingest. It helps the body absorb it even more. So, I don't know why it's in our bangs. Why is that in our bang? I have no idea why.
What, Bang energy drink?
Yeah, Bang energy drink. It's in our bang. The other day I was going to get a Bang or a Red Bull. I mean, either one is not good for you. But I looked at it, I was like, why the hell would TBHQ be in the Bang? Well, if you think about what it does, your body absorbs more anything that you put into that. So it just helps to absorb. So it helps you to absorb the vitamins and whatever else that they put into it. But nonetheless, that chemical itself is cancerous, and it messes with your liver and your organs. And ultimately, it messes up your cells, which we all know what happens once our cells start becoming a little disrupted here. And free radicals are in your body. I mean, you're more susceptible to disease, right? Your body's more acidic. It just goes down the rabbit hole of this. And so we just have to become more conscious of a lot of things, starting with our water and what we're kind of eating and what we're putting on our bodies. And I mean, even our air. I say all the time, why I get, someone gets sick and then you hear like they're not even hanging out together. Everybody's kind of sick. I feel like it's in the air. We all know they spray the airs, but it's like just weird. Sometimes it feels like you're in the Truman Show. It's just weird.
Yes.
It's like a big
human experiment.
Yeah, big human experiment. So when you break from that and you really do the work and you really start going inward, and you really can be free, completely a free soul. That's why I changed my name on Instagram to Sovereign_1985. That's why I
Yes.
changed it, because you really are free. We make these prisons for ourselves, these mental prisons for ourselves, and we feed into it the propaganda. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we are buying into it.
I want to bring something up. You're talking about being a free soul and water. Our friends just went to Okeechobee Music Festival, right? You and I have had discussions about Hollywood and the music industry and Satanism and
Yeah.
So our friends go to Okeechobee Music Festival. There's a water company called Liquid Death. It's canned water. Have you heard of it?
Did you see the commercial for it on YouTube?
I haven't seen that yet. So there's a vendor booth. It's like a building that they built that you could go in this building and get free water, Liquid Death, right? In order to enter the building, I'm going to pull this up here. In order to enter the building, you had to sign a contract. Now, initially, when my friend Brandon told me this, I thought he meant contract, like maybe a non-disclaimer, maybe a release of liability of sorts. This
We're talking about for
contract
the water, to enter the building for the water.
to get free water at a concert where it's 100 degrees outside. I'm trying to find specifically my friend's text message here. Please hold. Here we go. It's a contract to sell your soul.
What?
Now, you know contracts, you know water, you know free soul. Look at this. It says bill of sale for one eternal human soul. It says nowhere on here, this is for promotional purposes, this is for entertainment purposes. All of the language in there is legally binding. This is like a legally binding contract where you sell your soul to this company called Liquid Death. I'm showing Jacqui the contract for the Liquid Death has you signed to get free water at a music venue, music festival.
That is insane, but they're coming after our children. So it's funny that you mention Liquid Death. One day I'm minding my own business. What time is it? 11:51 p.m. in the afternoon. Okay, it's during one of my baby's shows. They're, middle of the day.
Right.
Let's just say almost world.
Right.
For all intents and purposes. And all of a sudden, I hear, break the law, break the law, break the law, break the law. And there's a whole bunch of children, okay? And I had to pause it. I paused it there. It was a whole bunch of children that were getting kind of like wrecked, right? And they all look like they're drunk and on ecstasy and having a party.
Jacqui's showing me a Liquid Death TV commercial where
That's-
these kids are drinking it like it's beer.
Like it's beer, like they're partying. Like
there was a pregnant woman drinking it.
Yes, and it was for Liquid Death.
I just found out Machine Gun Kelly,
I was like, what the hell's going on?
the singer, rapper turned singer, is part owner of that company. And Machine Gun Kelly, I've watched his
Well, there you
career
go.
for 12 years. He started off as a local rapper from Cleveland. He was very good, very inspirational. His music had a message. And then he moved to Los Angeles.
He was a
and-
nobody.
Yeah, and he was a nobody. And he actually, for years, he had like 8 albums and he couldn't get anywhere, right?
Nope.
Now all of a sudden he's the biggest name in music. His most recent album was going to be called Born with Horns.
Yes.
That him and Travis Barker
Yes.
tattooed on themselves. He's
Yes.
changed the name of the album. He has a song called Alpha and Omega where he has all these references to Satan. He's in a bath of blood. And now he's one of the biggest musicians on the planet.
They're not hiding it, by the way. They telling you.
Don't they have to? That's like part of their sect.
Yeah, but at this point, they're saying it. They're saying it clear as day. I sold my soul. Like they're not hiding it anymore. There's no more subliminals. Before, you'll have subliminals. There's no more subliminals. They are telling you straightforward and literally telling you they sold their souls. There's a video someone made it, and it shows Katy Perry, Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, all of them, like literally saying, Ariana Grande saying they sold their soul.
And they say it like it's a joke. Like, I sold my
signed
soul.
my name in blood.
Right.
Like, no joke.
And Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox, they do these weird blood rituals where they drink each other's blood. The Island Boys, one of them guys said on those guys said on their Instagram, like, how did I get so famous? I sold my soul.
Yeah. They're not joking about this.
What's happening?
What's happening?
Yeah.
the flesh, like the mortal world, what they can get here. They're not thinking about their spirit. They're not thinking about the afterlife. I don't really know what goes in that mind, because if it feels good for them, if that brings them joy, okay, right? Who are we? That's their journey, right?
So some people have trouble believing that there's a God, right? They would rather just not even think about it. They go on with their life or whatever. But
correction. I'm sorry to what
okay.
you just said. I don't truly believe in atheists.
You don't believe in atheists. Interesting.
No.
You think it's like a cop out?
No, I think that maybe yes, maybe in their conscious mind they say they don't believe in anything. I think in the soul they know. I think that when everyone takes their last breath, they'll know. We release a lot of DMT when we die.
Right.
High levels of it.
Right.
It's a rush. It's almost like Bufo. That's why I always say I feel it was like cheating death. I got to experience it and then still be alive.
Well, one of the things that what I was going to mention also is that, with all of this evidence of, Satan having all of this power and influence, how could there not be the other side?
There's a counterpart to everything.
You know?
There's a counterpart to everything. So to say they don't believe in God, but they believe in Satan, then it just...
Like, you have to believe in, if there's one, there's the other.
Kind of contradicting.
And you and I, we've both watched that Out of Shadows documentary, which was fucking, mind-bending. It's about a guy who is a stunt actor, and he has a pelvic injury, and he goes to a therapist, and the therapist tries to get him to connect with God, and he says, you either are crazy or you really believe in this God stuff. And then she says to him, I'm a pelvic therapist in Hollywood. I've seen all of the children who have been, horrible things have been done to them in the name of Satan.
Right.
And it's fucking terrifying. And I think it puts so much value in what you're saying, living in the moment.
I think we should totally have a podcast one day with a few people and speak about different, like, psilocybin or different experiences, and we'll all have one thing in common, and is knowing that there is a creator.
Right.
Super random, but you know what I just learned yesterday?
What's that?
So do you know who's the founder of Bitcoin?
So there's nobody. People say nobody knows.
Yes.
I've heard one gentleman say that if you knew who the founder of Bitcoin was, you would sell immediately.
Honey, it's super random, but I wanted to see if you knew.
No, I don't know.
You did. So I was speaking to Eric about, like, can we speak about, like, Pelosi's and stuff like that? Just mention. Well, I'm just like, these people are here forever. They've been in office forever, and they don't die. Like, I don't want them to die. I'm not wishing death upon anybody, but I'm like, they just don't die. It's hard to kill evil, right? And I was thinking, George Soros, like, how old is that man? He's, like, never gonna die. And Eric was like, let me just Google how old George Soros is. He's 95 years old. When you go into his bio, he is one of his, like, foundations owns Bitcoin. It's connected to George Soros.
Shit.
Yes. Obviously, it can't say he's the founder of it.
Right.
But one of his little arm branches, it comes right back to George Soros.
This George Soros character, I've never known who he was. I still don't know a lot about him, but his name keeps being brought up in all of these, like, for instance, all of the riots that were happening in 2020.
Right.
There were all these pallets of bricks that just showed up.
Right.
And people say that George Soros put those there.
Evil
he
man.
funds, like, Antifa, and it's something to, like, break apart our sovereignty.
Yes. I mean, we're not going to say it's him himself, right? He just has a whole bunch of arms. And at this point, it's just minions of him. I mean, this man is just really old. He's not controlling it all, but he is. He's like the puppet master.
It's terrifying when these people get so wealthy that, amounts of money that we can't fathom, how they feel like they need to control the world.
Yeah, but, like, what does that even mean? Like, once you know his power, what does that eat? It's like the Rockefellers, you know, like that type of bloodline, the Bushes and stuff like that. That type of bloodline, George Soros, that type of power. What does that even mean for Bitcoin? That he's the founder of that. Why? And is it safe? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what is it really about?
Yeah, is everybody going to put all their money into it and then?
No, I don't think they're ever going to do that. It's not going to become a black hole, but it's just like, that's just, I don't know. That was a cool revelation at the same time, because it was kind of eye opening. It's like, if you know what his blood, you know, what he comes with, then it's just like when Bitcoin, George Soros, I don't know. That's kind of weird.
Not good.
It'll be interesting to see what happens in the future.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you that we should do another podcast.
Yes.
One, I want to thank you for sharing all of your knowledge today. This
Yes.
market that we're in South Florida, right now, and the real estate market is a crazy one. And you've given us some really powerful tools
Yes, thank you.
to make sure that we are, whether we're selling or buying, that we're prepared.
I just want, actually, if there's an audience out there that's listening, I just wanted to throw in just a few little things. Remember when I said about the average credit score being 708?
Yes.
That being said, there's a lot of people who actually have good jobs, 2 years at least of taxes, money they can prove in their bank statements. I just want to let people know out there that the city, the county, and the state of Florida has funding for down payments and closing costs. You just have to look for that information. I have those phone numbers. I can share it. You can share it onto the link.
Yep.
The state of Florida never runs out of money.
Mm.
The city and the county needs to be checked on a monthly basis, but the state never runs out. And so there's a lot of people out there who might not have the money, but it's worth a shot, and it beats having to pay $3,000 for a 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
So if anyone's ever interested out there in, having those numbers, or have you put it in the link, it's definitely worth a shot. I had some notes on here of what they do and where they can look it up, which actually, just really quickly, this is one website that I do want people who are interested in that, which is going to be, because once they find this loan this lenders, then they can go down that rabbit hole. But I do want people to have that information. Where did I put it? Hold on. It is going to be.
And then we'll also direct people to your social media too, so that people can communicate with you. I know there's a lot of people who are looking to sell right now, and it's you've made it pretty clear. It's pretty clear that if there's anybody who you should have represent you, it's Jacqui.
Well, thank you. Well, you know what? It's all jumbled up in here, but I will put it in a link for you so that people can actually have that information and what website. It has to be an accredited lender. They have to be an approved lender in order to do that. But, there's people out there who have the job, have the credit score and everything, but they just don't have money for down payments, and they don't have money for closing costs. But there is funding out there for them. So there is still opportunity to buy, and that's something very important. Some people just don't know about that.
Yeah.
So that's why they still have billions and billions of dollars inside of those funds, and people it keeps accumulating, because out of every closing cost, when you're paying on your tax stamps and stuff, some of that funding goes into that account. There's billions of dollars, and the state of Florida never runs out.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Where can people find you on social media?
Jacqueline Spencer on Facebook, and my Instagram is a little bit more for fun, so I'll just keep it with my Jacqueline Spencer at Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I have
love
like
that.
2 different worlds. On Instagram, I like to be fun and do whatever I want. I have
yeah.
to be so professional.
No, I understand it.
Yeah.
You are a very intelligent young woman.
Thank you.
You work your ass off,
Yes, I
and
do.
we have a lot of respect for you.
Thank
and
you
I
so
really
much.
appreciate you sitting down with me today.
Thank you so much, Blake, for having me, and I really appreciate that. You thought it was worth having me on here. It was very, very nerve-wracking to do it, but I'm glad that we did, and I'll love to do it again and on some more fun topics.
Yeah, you did a great job. It was very easy. You're very easy to talk to.
Thank you.
Jacqui, thank you so much. This has been fantastic.
Thank you.
You guys, thank you for joining us for this conversation. Make sure you follow Jacqui. Go join her on Facebook. Most importantly, we'll see you next time live from Hakuna. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bula.
Bula.